through the information we have been obtaining throughout the months, we've had some information. Narcotics had some information, and like I said, this program looks like it's a media program, but this is information that we have gathered over the months to try to track down who these suspects were, where these grow houses were. We had loose information. The Predator Task Force assists with the Scorpion Task Force. Actually started identifying some possible locations through the Predator Task Force, going after suspects and burglars we had information on, and getting information from those individuals and tracking that down to the suspects' location and to the grow houses. These 4 grow houses. These are 4, but we had a grow house just immediately before that at another location that wasn't part of the arrest of those 2 people.
During the course of the Predator Task Force's operations, referenced the burglaries, the Briscoes came up as being some of the large-scale marijuana growers here in Pahrump. So we obviously, that's not acceptable either. And so as assisting the Scorpion Task Force in those arrests and search warrants, that's kind of intermingled the Briscoes with the burglary task force, specifically relating to the marijuana grows. But no, we have nothing identified that they specifically are involved in the burglaries themselves. Almost all of these arrests are for crimes that have occurred in the last couple months. Many of them also span back to burglaries that have occurred over the past 12 months and potentially longer. The problem is like the sheriff said, we've got 3,000 pieces of evidence that we've got to try to piece to which cases they go to. And so realistically, long-lasting, that's going to be, our task at this point. But I mean, certainly we've identified in the last couple of months several burglaries that these individuals are responsible for.
And the evidence that we recovered, there's about 3,000 pieces of evidence we can tie into the various suspects once we know the location where these people committed the burglaries. Once we can identify that evidence to that victim, then we can attach that crime to that burglary suspect. What's going to finally get all these individuals, linked to all the crimes that we have identified, is once the evidence has been identified. Once we have this stolen property, once we can say this particular gun, which is we looked at these weapons, they're not stolen, but that doesn't mean that they weren't taken. Sometimes the owners of the weapons never wrote down the serial number. And so when they report, they were reported as a Ruger 45. And so now we have to then display this weapon, and someone says, that's my gun because this is, then we can attach that suspect who had that weapon to that burglary, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is that the people now are going to help us, further charge these individuals and allow us to then make the proper prosecution with the assistance from the DA's office to make sure that that whatever they're involved in now ceases.